Hello, everybody. It's the Vookcast, episode number 148. It's Wednesday, the 19th of April, as we're recording this, but it's probably a little bit after that when you're listening to it, because that's how the news goes. I'm Stephen Ibsen. I'm on the podcast all the time, pretty much. Also here all the time, and now specifically, is Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, I'm here. G'day, Bonza, Budgerigars, you.
You just...
Crikey.
Is tired from campaigning for the return of the Bonza Burger?
Mate, if they brought back I would... It was just... For people who don't know, this is like a burger Chicken Treat had, and it was like, like a sort of mini hot dog sort of shape, and it was just chicken, lettuce, and mayo. It was like $2, and it was great.
I don't even remember it. I remember it existing, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway...
I've got a few years on you, so...
It's true. Aside from the Bonza Burger, I don't know what he does with his time, because he doesn't campaign for the Bonza Burger, but Troy Wassenaar's here as well. Hello, Troy.
What's Chicken Treat?
It's bad. Don't be jealous.
What? Oh, yeah, holy crap. That's like a WA only thing, isn't it?
Is it?
Also,
yeah,
hello.
they don't...
Oh.
Sorry?
Sorry. It sounds familiar, but I just never heard of it.
It might be
has
a WA only thing.
That was a weird sentence. It sounds familiar, but I've never heard of it. Yeah, no, it rings a bell, but I don't know. Sorry.
You're not missing out on too much except for cool burger names.
Chicken Treat hot chicken rolls are better than the Red Rooster hot chicken rolls.
There's a lot of stuff out there better than Red Rooster. Anyway, welcome to the Chicken Fast Food
Chicken
podcast.
Cast. First on the menu...
Chookcast. Sorry.
They like the Australian flavour.
Chooks.net.
Chooks.net. First on the Chooks.net Chookscast menu. What?
Chooks used to be a WA only chicken fast food chain as well. Used to be River Rooster, and then they had to rebrand themselves into Chooks when they moved to the city where there was Red Rooster.
That's where Vook got the name from.
We stole their brand.
Chooks was rubbish.
Speaking of branding, you'll be able to brand your not Wii. Who am I? Brand your Switch things with Splatoon 2 accessories sometime in the near future. I'm not sure when, but probably when it comes out. So yeah, that's the first bit of news on the news.
They look great. They
do. There are some sort of covers for the Joy-Cons specifically, so hard plastic and soft silicon. And they have like the splattery designs and the squid designs for each side, which is cool. There's they're called front covers. They're kind of like the smart covers for an iPad, I guess, is the best comparison I can think of. They sort of flap over the top and flap away when you don't need them.
Kind of like birds.
Kind of like birds. Very much like birds, you might say.
But not.
Chickens, maybe.
Let's eat them. And finally, we've got neoprene pouches, which are in a similar amazing bright Splatoon colour scheme. I saw this come up on Twitter today, and I forgot to ask if Troy was okay after seeing this news. How are you after seeing this news?
I maybe fainted, but...
But you're good now? You've had a moment to recover?
I really want one of the pouches. I think the second one, where it doesn't have the Japanese under the Splatoon 2 logo.
Ah, yep.
I don't know, I'm picky about that. But, yeah, no, I kind of also want that folding over, the iPad cover.
Yeah, it is kind of nice.
The first one looks really good.
Yeah, but that's not going to fit in the dock, so I don't know how easy it is to remove to slide that in, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for them.
So yeah, you can make your Switch look all Splatoony, and I'll promise to have pictures or links in the show notes so you can see all of the things we're talking about that will probably describe it better than I can. But staying on the Splatoon topic as well, we've got the details of the grand final of the Australia and New Zealand 2017 Splatoon Cup have been announced. So we mentioned this a little bit, I think, last episode. Troy might have gone over some of the details, I think.
Yeah. I participated in the first heat and got eliminated somehow. I think it's rigged. Nah.
Yeah, clearly.
The second heats, I think, were last weekend. Not Easter weekend, but the one before.
Okay, yeah.
And the last weekend of April, they're doing the grand final with the blue-ringed Octolings and Scarface. I think it's...
Yeah, Scarface is my best.
Sign and a cent sign.
Yeah, that's my best guess. Yeah, that's on the 29th of April at Red Scooter in Balaclava, Victoria, if that means anything to anyone.
So it's open to the public, but if you want to go, sign up. Like, it's like a register of interest thing. It just helps them figure out how big to plan it and everything.
Once again, there'll be a link in the show notes to that sign-up thing if you're interested. And I believe they're streaming it. I might be lying. I hope I'm not lying.
Last I heard that they're probably not. So definitely head in to check it out. I don't think they have the equipment to do a stream from that location, but I don't know. Hopefully that'll change, because I would love to watch it.
Yeah, I'd be a bit interested. Yeah, I think you're right. It's mainly just registering if you're going to go there. But cool, yeah. Keep that in mind if you're in the area and want to watch some pretty much top-tier competitive Splatoon. It's about as good as it gets in the country.
Yeah, they're really good. Makes me sad.
This is making more people sad, though, is that the NES Mini has basically been... it has entirely been discontinued.
Yep.
So I think a little bit earlier on, maybe a week and a bit ago, Vook published a report from verified, reliable sources saying that what was in stock at the time is all that's going to be in stock. Sort of once it sells out, it's gone. And yeah, a little bit later, it was confirmed to be true. Nintendo straight up came out and said that they confirmed they are no longer manufacturing the Nintendo Classic Mini Nintendo Entertainment System. If production resumes in the future, an update will be posted on the official Nintendo website.
Worth noting that was printed on the Japanese site, I think, but not in the US or Australian or European sites.
Interesting. So I guess...
It's weird, because they have the Famicom Mini.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to translate Nintendo speak to English, but
they have
I don't know. I think it might be done.
Yeah, it seems like it's done, and yeah, sort of if you're lucky enough to find one now, it'll be pretty much your last opportunity to grab it, which is, I think it's a really big shame. There are so many people that still actively want them. I think especially in the US, where supplies seem to have been a bit more constrained than it was here. Not to say there are people here that really want them still and haven't been able to get them as well. But yeah, it seems weird. There's clearly demand there, but they're just not going to keep making them.
Yeah, well, I mean, glad I got mine.
Yeah, same.
I don't think the NES Mini was meant to be a long-term thing anyway. Like, to me, it's always felt like they didn't have anything really to pimp out last holiday season. So the NES Mini was just something to get something out there and on the shelves.
But Nintendo have a bad habit of always underestimating demand.
Oh, amiibos.
Yeah.
Except for Animal Crossing amiibos.
Even if they only planned it as like, a thing to fill a gap in their release schedule, like clearly it was more... I guess had more demand than what they would have thought for something to fill a gap in their release schedule, and I don't know, maybe it would be a good idea to plan to keep making at least another wave or two for people who still want it. I guess they're fairly conservative. They don't want to make more and not have them sell, but I don't know, it just seems like there's enough demand out there that people would still buy them if they were available.
I mean, we don't know how much of maybe they were thinking about making more, but then they needed to use whatever manufacturing resources they had to just funnel into the Switch, or...
Yeah, I was reading that the factories that they basically... Because I don't think they own factories, they basically do what everyone else does and lease it out to Chinese
contract
stuff.
it out to the highest bidder.
And it just wasn't worth the money to keep them manufacturing NES Minis compared to a Switch, which is in a much higher demand.
I guess that makes sense, and sort of
and for their long-term viability, the Switch that's what they need to be pushing hard. I mean, it is unfortunate that this has left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth about the whole thing.
And I think for me and probably a lot of people, it would hurt a lot less if Virtual Console wasn't just so ignored on the Switch. Like, I mean, I'm sure it'll become a thing. The Wii U didn't have Virtual Console for a while, and it turned out kind of a bit lackluster, if I'm honest, but still, it got there in the end. But, like, I don't know, it would have helped if there was, you can't buy the NES Mini, but here you can play all the games on the Switch.
it's sort of unfortunate for the Virtual Console that they started, like, everyone was hating on the Wii Virtual Console at the time. You look back at it in hindsight and you're like, that was actually really good. There was a ton of really good games on there. And then when the Wii U came about, there were still lots of really good games, but it wasn't the same amount of content. Like, there wasn't TurboGrafx. Or there was at the end, but, no Mega Drive or Master System stuff. And then on the 3DS, it was a sort of its own thing. And
it's never quite, as much as we complained about the Wii, it never hit that sort of height again, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I checked the other day, across all 3 Virtual Console platforms, I've got like 250 games, and
that seems like a low number. I don't know why, but I expected to be like have another 0 at the end.
I think there's only like, I want to say 500 games all up for the Virtual Console. I think I don't know. I need to check. But I clearly like the idea of it, so and that's why I wasn't interested in an NES Mini, because I'm like, all those games I've got on the Wii Virtual Console, and I'll buy them for the Switch when they come out, because that's going to be my ideal way to play going forward.
I think we'll jump into some breaking news that basically happened just before we were recording, because it kind of leads into this. Sort of as this discontinuation was announced, there are rumours circulating. I don't know how legit it is yet. It's all just Twitter headlines so far. But it seems like the SNES Mini might potentially be a thing. I am a little bit concerned that they're leaning on the mini consoles too much when the Virtual Console is not a thing, but that's just me worrying.
All I hope for is that it's the one that they release here. It looks like the European SNES and not the American one.
Oh, yes. I do not want the gross purple buttons and weird, boring console.
I want a game console that looks like a game console, not a shoebox.
Yeah, it'll be similar to what happened with the Famicom Mini and the NES Mini.
Well, yeah, the Super Famicom looks like the European SNES, so the molds are there.
Hopefully they just give us, the Japanese shell, but with, localized software inside.
Seems easy enough.
I mean, I just still worry that this is the direction that they're going to go in instead of a proper Virtual Console.
Yeah,
I think they're going to do both.
I don't realistically think that that's going to be what happens, but until we hear anything about the Virtual Console, it's like a creeping fear in my mind that this is all that's going to be.
Well, they said they're doing classic games on the Switch. Like, that's part of the subscription service. So
yeah, that's true. Gosh.
The first game available will be Urban Champion.
Urban Champion, optimized for Switch with widescreen, high frame rate options.
And online multiplayer.
Super Mario Brothers still lost levels.
So hypothetically, if there is a Super Nintendo Mini, what games do you think we would see? What games would you like to see on it?
Metroid.
I'm gonna say go first, Troy, but I agree with your first one.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it would be, I think Super Mario All-Stars is a bit of a cheat because it's basically what was on the NES Mini, but they did that for the Super NES, so do it again.
Would you go for the version with World in it as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, if it gets more games on there, heck yeah. I think Super Metroid is a given, surely.
Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, surely they can still do that. I'm not sure, but yeah, the DKC trilogy would be nice. Yoshi's Island, as much as it would pain me to be like, no, we've had years we can't do Yoshi's Island on Virtual Console due to technical issues, and if they just did it on the SNES Mini, I would be very grumpy, but also happy that I could finally play it and not the garbage GBA version.
Well, yeah, Super Mario World is a given, man.
Yeah, surely.
And Super Mario Kart.
If they could wrangle it, Mega Man X games would be quite my jam.
Yeah. F-Zero?
You know what the funny thing is, like, I look at the library of games they had on the NES Mini, and they had a good selection of like multiplayer games. Like Bubble Bobble, Mario Brothers.
I was just going to say Kirby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dreamland
is it
3 would be
Superstar?
great.
Yeah, Superstar was.
Because that's multiplayer in a couple of them, isn't it?
I think co-op in most of it.
Yeah. That would actually be great on the Switch, to be honest.
Oh, please.
Can you imagine that? Just to hand a Joy-Con and be like, okay, we're doing Meta Knight's Revenge or whatever.
What multiplayer games outside of like Mario Kart and
F-Zero? Is F-Zero multiplayer?
I don't think
it was.
No, it's not, is it?
So what multiplayer games did Nintendo do?
It's not Nintendo,
Country,
but Pocky and
if you
Rocky.
count the Rare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pocky and Rocky would be great. Pocky and Rocky 2.
I'll look at my
I just
Amiibo.
want Goku Joe Parodius because I'm weird, and I like the Parodius games.
Be cool if we got localized Fire Emblem games.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me.
Isn't that what the new Fire Emblem that's coming out is? It's basically a Super Nintendo game?
I think it's an NES game.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
A Gaiden? Fire Emblem Gaiden?
Yeah, whatever the second one was. Probably Gaiden. Cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else they could do.
I
Zelda
hope
would
that
have
they
to be there.
release the Super NES Mini on the same day as the Scorpio, because that would be funny.
Well, just to see the comparative sales stats.
Yeah.
SNES Mini outsells Project Scorpio.
Well, speaking of outselling things, the Switch is outselling lots of things, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is outselling the Switch, which is extremely weird. We've got numbers on, the Switch. It's beating sales records, as I'm sure we mentioned last time. But yeah, the interesting thing to come out is that there have been more copies of Breath of the Wild on Switch specifically sold than Switch consoles, which I don't think that's ever happened ever before for a game that wasn't explicitly bundled with the machine.
That's over a 100% attach rate, of course.
Yeah, literally. I think Nintendo said that they attribute it to people buying collector's editions and standard editions so that they don't have to unbox their collector's edition, but I mean, it seems kind of reasonable, but at the same time, surely there can't be that many people that did it.
And that doesn't make sense. Why would you buy a box? That's all you're doing.
Yeah, although I guess...
That's a different issue, sorry.
It would it would only take a couple of people to do that, because I would not be surprised in the least to see that 99% of people who bought a Switch just bought it with Zelda, because what else are you buying the Switch for, on day one? I would imagine that not buying Zelda with it would be an anomaly.
Yeah, I don't know. Either that or a lot of Wii U owners just saw it on the shelf and just didn't think about it, because that would be kind of hilarious.
They bought the one that's in a case that's smaller.
I wonder, I know of a few people that bought Zelda ahead of, they didn't get the Switch straight away, but they got Zelda just to have Zelda to start with. I wonder that was more common.
Before I got a GameCube, I bought the Wind Waker, because I got a GameCube after Wind Waker had come out, but I bought the pack that had the
Ocarina
Masters.
disc?
Yeah, with the Ocarina disc. So I saw that, I'm like, I'm going to get a GameCube anyway, so I'll just buy this.
Yeah, I mean,
That's fair.
It seems like a thing people do for Zelda, I guess.
I'm surprised that Nintendo had more Zelda stock than they had systems.
Yeah, actually.
Because, I mean, one of my favourite stories of what happened with the video game crash is that Atari manufactured more copies of E.T. for Atari than there were Ataris out there. And that, there was 10 million Ataris in circulation, so they made 13 million copies of the game, and it's why?
The Atari's going to keep selling forever.
So,
I don't know how they're still around today.
Then they're not even a publisher that uses that name anymore, is there?
I think they got
No, it
bought
still
again.
exists.
Yeah.
But they're two different companies, and the second one just took the name.
Well, it's like how THQ isn't really THQ, it's Nordic Games.
It's basically the same
rebranded.
thing, yeah.
Well, yeah.
It happens a lot.
So that's
Poor
weird.
Atari.
Yeah.
But go the Switch as well, because apparently they're that's... that Nintendo America said this is our fastest selling system ever.
So
Which bodes really well.
Clearly, a Zelda at launch is what is needed to sell the system. The Wii went nuts, Wii U didn't, Switch went nuts. It's clearly a pattern.
Wii U had a Zelda game at launch.
Don't even try that with me, mate. I know what you're going to say.
Nintendo Land. That was one of the better parts of Nintendo Land.
Anyway, moving on.
Nintendo Land. It's a good idea.
So it would be nice if we had something similar on the Switch. But anyway,
well, I think the Switch needs like a good, fun, like co-op multiplayer game now. Just to sort of anyway.
So yeah, the next part of the news is there was a Nintendo Direct plus a whole bunch of other things announced outside of the Direct, where we just got a mountain of game sort of announcements and release date confirmations, and there's a lot to go through. So what we've sort of thought would be best to do is I'm going to just read through the list because I'm sure you really want that. I hope you do. And then, at the end, if there's anything that anyone wants to point out as worthy of discussion, then we'll do that. So, over the last couple of weeks, we found out that Minecraft is coming to the Switch on the 12th of May, Miitopia to the 3DS later this year, Fate Extella in July for the Switch, Monster Hunter Stories, spring 2017,
Sorry, is that our autumn? Or?
No, this is... I'm pretty sure this is
our... No, we converted everything.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Namco Museum in our winter, which includes Pac-Man, Galaga, Splatterhouse, Rolling Thunder, Sky Kid, and Tank Force. Payday 2 in 2017.
Why?
Why? Splatoon 2 in July, which also comes with Amiibo.
No!
ARMS on June 16. Devilish Brain Training on July 28.
But not for Australia, right?
Oh, what?
Maybe. It's not in our PR. The PR that we got for...
It's possibly not coming to
the
Australia.
quest continues.
We'll see.
I got that game for free on like the Canadian Club Nintendo.
A whole bunch of Kirby games for the 25th anniversary, I think it was.
30th.
A big old anniversary. Team Kirby Clash Deluxe, which was part of Planet Robobot, but is now a separate free-to-start game that you can buy and play right now. Kirby's Blowout Blast in winter, and an unnamed multiplayer action game sometime in the summer.
Kirby Triforce Heroes.
Maybe.
Clearly.
Ever Oasis, June 24. There you go, Daniel. There's your date. Hey Pikmin on July 29, which
No. Hey Pikmin.
Hey Pikmin. July 29.
Hang on, there's an exclamation mark at the end of the Pikmin as well. So
I'm not sure if that's actually there. I just put that there because it looked nice. The remaining Smash Amiibo, so 2 different variants of Cloud, 2 variants of Bayonetta, and a male and female Corrin, plus 3 new Links because we need more Links.
Stop saying Amiibo.
They're sort of
Troy's
late
like
July.
a battered housewife in the corner. No!
Late July in the US for those, and I assume similar for us. A battery pack for the Joy-Cons, because they don't last long enough, apparently. There's
Honestly,
that.
I might get them just for the grip.
Yeah, they do add a bit of a chunkiness to the back, so maybe that's a worthwhile use of it.
Not well. You can't connect the... It's a thingy, like the straps.
Also...
Oh, that's right, yeah.
They did show that off while they were showing off ARMS, so I think it is sort of in line with ARMS. Because, you're going to be playing that with the Joy-Con separated, so...
Speaking of, yellow Joy-Cons.
Yes, I forgot to put that in a list, but yeah, banana yellow or neon yellow Joy-Cons. They just look... All the Joy-Cons look like highlighter colours. It's interesting.
Yeah. I'm getting the yellow ones.
I'm not. I already have my perfect spicy boys.
I want orange.
Binding of
You're
Isaac.
great for orange.
So Binding of Isaac's finally got I won't say date, but a rough estimate time, Q2.
Shrug.
You'll suddenly love Nicalis now. Not.
Yeah. I'm not happy with the way that was handled, so...
NBA Playgrounds in May, which looks like NBA Jam, but without
the name. Why
not
just do NBA Jam? Why just...
Who knows? THQ
I originally saw that as like a trailer, and I thought, is this just what the Switch NBA Jam is? NBA game's going to be like some Play-Doh looking face men game.
Yeah, THQ Nordic announced some games, one of which is Battle Chasers, and the other I'm not sure.
Cinemora, which is like a...
Yeah, Cinemora, which...
It's a side-scrolling shooter.
I think it's a Cinemora?
Yeah, I always thought
Wave?
Cinemora, but maybe Cinemora.
It's a Grasshopper game. It's been on the Vita.
It was on 360 and Vita.
Yeah.
And
Looks neat.
Yeah, now Switch.
Battle Chasers I'm super keen on, though, because that sort of looks like it'll quell that RPG handheld style game itch that I have on the Switch.
And the last game on the list was Monopoly.
The most important one.
Yes, clearly what everyone's been hanging out for, the best board game of all
And that's
time.
the list
no
done.
arguments. Sometime in
I
spring.
actually think Monopoly would do okay if it has, like, you know, like you've seen those Nintendo boards that you can buy, and like the Zelda ones and the Mario ones. I think if it comes with that content in there, it'll automatically sell like 10 times.
I have
the
no
amount
doubt
of
it'll
normal.
sell well, because the form factor of the Switch and then what they showed off in the trailer is perfect for a board game. Monopoly.
You can really feel the dice in your hands.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cool that they can do that. Like,
I
I
don't
won't buy
think
it
I'm gonna
for
buy
that, but it's
Monopoly,
cool
yeah.
that they can do that.
Yes.
So looking at these releases, just going to touch on one. You raised the thing about Troy. Payday 2. What
Yeah,
is this? I've never really heard of this before. So is this like an online only shooter thing?
it's a heist game, and it was actually kind of fun, and then they microtransactioned it to hell.
And I remember it
Really
got a
badly.
release on like last gen consoles and current gen consoles, and I think all
Yep.
of the ports were a bit stuffed.
They were handled by other parties, and the main developer was basically just, well, you should have bought it on PC then. I think that was actually like a famous quote by them.
Did you see that the other day with the Misty Shifty developer? People ask him, "Oh, so when are the frame rate problems going to be sorted?" And then he's like, "Well, if you want to play it without any frame rate problems, you should try playing it on PC." And it's like, mate, it just came out on like a Switch. You might just want to not be a
Get
bit of
some
a dick
PR
about
worked
it.
out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I do wonder if if Payday had issues running on like a PS4 or Xbox One, like what hope in heck does it have of running well on a Switch unless it has a
It's
really
a
good
shame.
port?
The gameplay is actually really fun.
It
and playing
seems
with
like
friends is extraordinary.
Yeah, like I can imagine playing like in around a table, 4 people all at the same time would be
I would
fantastic
love
if
that.
it works.
But it's all of like the administration issues on that side of the development issues and stuff. I'm not too fond of.
So I guess we can only hold out hope that they chose a good team to do the port at least.
The Namco Museum, is that the only games that they have announced for it, or
It
like,
was
have
the
there
only
been
ones I
more
saw
coming?
listed.
They said includes these games.
So yeah,
So-
take that as you will.
Kind of hope it comes with more. Like I really liked on the it's one of the few games I actually reviewed for the site was the Namco 3D remake stuff, which was like Pac-Man Championship Edition, Galaga Reloaded or whatever it's called. That and I also had like the original games, and that was kind of fun. So
I'm just,
I mean, this could be okay, and you can play the games in, is it pronounced Tate
Tate mode,
mode, where the screen sort of
like vertically oriented.
yeah, that was a selling point in the trailer.
which is cool. Just need a stand for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
that'd be cool.
not like that orientation on the Switch. It'll basically just block off the left and right of the screen.
I
And do a
really
vertical
hope
tiny
they
in the
do.
middle.
Oh,
It would be cool if you could like turn it around, because I remember there was a game on Vita you could do that for, and it was like a vertical shooter. Can't remember what it was though.
Switch is a
like
good size to hold
Ikaruga.
that way too. It's like a Game Boy.
And I mean, like, yeah, actually, Downwell was the one I was thinking of on Vita. That's not a shooter at all. But anyway,
I just don't want the Switch to be too heavy on the whole retro stuff. Like, I love retro games. I just don't want it to be the reason why people buy a Switch only, if that makes sense. Because with that Wonderboy game that just came out, is it like a retro remake? There was that Master Blaster.
and you've got all
Master,
the Neo Geo
Master.
games.
Whatever. Yeah,
Shovel
like
Knight.
all these
I mean-
Neo Geo games. I want new stuff
Shovel
as well.
Knight's kind of a retro.
It does seem a bit bizarre for like,
It's not a revival though.
we've got all these, like, I guess Wonderboy's a bit different because it's a full remake, but like Namco Museum and the Neo Geo games, they're all sort of pointing to, clearly Nintendo hasn't talked to these people about, or these publishers about, a possible virtual console yet, so they're releasing their stuff as just regular games. It seemed like if they'd been talked about a virtual console up until now, then you'd think they would not do this.
I just
don't
want it to
know.
be a selling point, not the selling
with
point.
these, like with the SNK games, like they're coming out on other consoles as well. Like they're coming out on Vita and PlayStation 4. So it's not like that they're just a special thing that's happening for the Switch.
No, but in the context of the Switch having all of these retro revival things, it's a huge part of it.
I still, like you got stuff like Snake Pass and other games.
Yes, all those other games.
I mean, like one of my most hyped games is Pocket Rumble, and that's just basically a Neo Geo pocket fighting game. So,
yeah, I just don't want people
to
to settle for that for the Switch when it's got so much more potential.
New stuff like ARMS and Splatoon.
And I don't want.
Speaking of which,
I would like it not to be. I don't know. I don't want Nintendo to be the only publisher putting out, reasonably big sort of console quality in inverted quotes games. Like, we've got Mario Kart and Splatoon and Mario coming, but I don't want them to be the only ones making games like that, and everyone else is just like, we'll port our indie games to it, which I love, but I don't want that to be the only thing that other people bring. I kind of see what you mean.
That's kind of part of it as well, yeah.
Like listening to a lot of other podcasts, and it's sort of been noticed that third parties still aren't jumping on board the Switch fully yet. But we're not seeing the signs of that yet. Like, Square Enix has only really announced Octopath Traveler, and then it's like, oh hey, here's a collection of all the Seiken Densetsu games, which makes me happy because I love Secret of Mana. But it's like,
but it's another retro collection.
I just, that. How many times do I have to retweet that for that to? For this
1,000 RTs, that's the law.
I'd be so happy if that actually got an English release.
But we're also getting like a bunch of what I feel are, 2010 releases being ported over, like Minecraft and Skyrim and now Payday 2.
Yeah, Minecraft, I think it would be crazy if it wasn't on the Switch, because it's the perfect platform for it. Portable, it'll be easier to control than the same game on an iPad, for example. But also kind of feels obligatory. For me,
Nintendo's like the only one doing these AAA, for lack of a better term, modern AAA games. I guess.
Well, it's like Zelda set the bar so high, I think, and everyone's sort of looking towards for the next that level experience on the Switch. And
it's not even that. It's just there's nothing even close to Zelda on the Switch, either announced or already out.
Well, Xenoblade 2 is the closest.
I think you might disagree with me in saying this, but it feels a little bit like third parties are treating it a bit like a handheld, in that they're bringing their sort of smaller scale B-tier games to it and not their big releases because they're for regular consoles. Yeah, like they probably will gauge success, and hopefully with all these sales records might have a change of heart. But yeah, at least for the first year or so, they've probably already got their plans in stone. I
mean, I agree. Like, you saw my Twitter rant probably last Friday about I think third parties are doing a good job with, because look, I'm a handheld gamer. I like handheld style games, and I don't really know what that phrase means, because what I consider a handheld style game back in the PlayStation 2 era, that would have been a console level experience. But it's, I just look for more of those games from Nintendo, like, I don't know, a Codename Steam, or I know I'm talking about the big hits here, Fantasy Life, or just stuff like that feels more like a pick up and play experience. Like, I love Zelda Breath of the Wild, but it's getting to the point now where if I play that, it's like, I have to sort of get in the right mindset and just,
I guess you want games that you don't have to sit down and concentrate on it. You want games more that you can, I don't know, just kind of play a bit more casually, for want of a better word.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I'm being a bit unfair. Like, for Christ, it's only been less than 2 months since the Switch came out, and you look at the 3DS's first year, and there was nothing like that at all for the first year or so, until 3D Land happened, and then Kid Icarus, and then Luigi's Mansion, and all that crap.
We were literally all playing DS Pokemon games and backwards compatibility for the first 6 months.
And I think that's part of it, is because the Switch isn't backwards compatible. I look at all these 3DS games, I'm like, you know, when we did E3, when we had E3 last year, so excited about Ever Oasis, and I still am, but I'm like, I'm probably not going to play it though. I really want to play it, but it's not on the Switch. I want it on the Switch, because the Switch is what I want to play at the moment. I'm sort of forcing myself to play Dragon Quest VII when I get time, because I want to finish that, but it still feels like I'm forcing myself to not play the Switch when I'd rather be playing the Switch, if you know what I mean.
I guess to sort of wrap up the thoughts on these announcements, and I guess the Direct as well, if for anyone who hasn't watched it, it had a completely different format to what we're used to. Like, you sort of had your lineup of headlines, and they just sort of quickfire went through them, spent a minute talking about it, boom, next one, boom, next one. What are our thoughts on this sort of new format? How, you know, we've got all these release dates in such a short time. I've really quite liked the new format.
Yeah, it was good. It was, you know, I saw people say they didn't like that it sort of spoilt what was coming up, but it didn't, because it would still have like ones that were like mystery. What's this announcement going to be? And
a lot of them were kind of vague in what they were having come up. So it was, ooh, I wonder what that means.
Like, yeah, I liked it, but I also like that every direct is sort of its own thing. Like, you look at the indie one a few weeks back, or
yeah, true.
I'm sort of glad that even with the passing of Iwata, they're still keeping a lot of the charm. You know, I was worried that, you know, once he gone, then it'd just be, we're going to be like a normal company like everyone else. But we're still Nintendo. Screw yous, we'll do things our way, which is cool.
Yeah, thoughts, Troy? Know still there, Troy?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No, I thought it was interesting.
Cool.
I know you sort of want to wrap it up a bit about the Direct, Stephen, but I want to say, what did we think of the new modes in Splatoon that was shown?
The co-op?
The Horde mode.
I'm very keen for that. Like, I love
sort of
co-op.
I think it'll be a good spot for people like myself who maybe aren't as good at the PvP stuff and just want to just muck around with a bunch of people and just, you know, fight off hordes of whatever these evil salmon things are. I like how it's also building the world more in Splatoon.
Yeah.
And then we also got to look at going over to ARMS. We've got a reveal of a new fighter, Min Min, who has ramen for arms, which is just bizarre.
I do appreciate that.
I like they're just going all out with these characters, and like, yeah, these are just weird as hell. I hope that ARMS has a bit of like world building like Splatoon does, where it's just like, why do these people not have arms? What's going on in this world? Actually, the main thing I want to see with ARMS is I still want to know what's going on with the single player content, because I hope it's just not going to be. Yeah, I mean, my dream scenario is there's like a Final Fight style mode, but you know, you're controlling the ARMS character from behind and just sort of fighting through hordes of enemies, Double Dragon style or something. To sort of be a bit of a fun difference. I'm also surprised ARMS isn't getting amiibos.
Oh yeah.
Well, so far. They might
I guess they have between now and the time it comes out to announce them, I guess.
June.
Yeah. And yeah, there were a lot of amiibos announced.
It's true.
I don't.
Sorry, Troy. You're welcome, Troy.
No.
Well, I was joking on Twitter the other day. What if they do for the next Smash on Switch? Let's just make amiibos for all of them again.
That's not a funny joke. And on that soul-crushing joke, we'll go on a quick break and come back in a moment. Hello again. We're back. We're gonna have a.
Hi. Not me.
Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Hi.
Still good. Did you have a good break?
Yeah. it was a break.
Oh, well.
Let's
Well,
wake up.
hopefully we might wake this sleepy team up by talking about some video games that they have been playing and that I have not, because I'm a busy man and also I haven't bought any video games. So we'll start off with Graceful Explosion Machine, which came out pretty recently on the Switch eShop, to my understanding.
Yeah,
About 2 weeks ago, I think.
a week and a half.
Who wants to take the lead on this one? Because I literally know nothing besides what was in a trailer.
Off you go, Troy.
Spaceship, and you shoot left and right.
And explosions happen?
Gracefully. Yes.
Cool.
You got a couple of different options, like different weapons, sorry. So like there's a sword that helps get rid of bullets and just like crowd control if you get surrounded. There's missiles, which is my absolute favorite. You just hold the X button and missiles go everywhere.
Nice.
And the last one's a sniper rifle type thing. It's like a rail gun, and it helps you take out armored.
Death.
It's good, but it's kind of weak at the same time. It's really just good for taking out armored shooty guys. You can only really change the orientation left to right, and
Which, I mean, it's so that sort of, it's a bit like Defender or
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
someone
was thinking
compared it.
when I first played it.
if
or
if
first
you're
saw
me
it.
and Weird, Drop Zone.
so it's
Good old game I
self-contained
played on the Commodore.
levels that loop. So when you reach
Yeah.
like the right side of the screen, it loops to the left. So it's kind of never ending.
Yeah, that's very
Which-
So
Defender.
yeah,
I was hoping for like environments to explore, kind of like that Street Pass game, the shooting one. I was hoping something more
Okay,
along
yeah,
the lines of that. So I'm not. I like the game, but it's also a lot harder than I expected.
yeah. It's very, I think, strange way to describe it, but it looks like Defender. It has enemies like Geometry Wars,
Yep.
but it has a very Bayonetta sort of scoring system.
Yeah.
It's all about keeping your combo up and then dodging out of the way of enemies coming in and just trying not to overheat your weapons or run out of power for your special weapons.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
much the
there's all
Dark
these-
Souls of shmups.
Yeah. There's all these little bits and pieces you sort of need to keep track of, and you know, I find finishing levels easy enough, but trying to get a decent score, that's where the real
Yeah.
challenge lies.
I die a lot, and that really annoys me because it resets your score entirely
Yeah.
if you die.
If you lose all 3 lives.
No, if you die in like phase 2, your score resets to 0 entirely.
Oh, that's shit.
Mm.
I'm not impressed by that.
I get why they're doing it, but it still makes the game infuriatingly hard.
But it's
It's
also
fun.
incredibly fun. Yeah,
It's challenging, but it's not the sort of just turn your brain half off and just play a video game while sitting somewhere. It's a full concentration game because of that. Because I
just
lose
where the
track of
sort
my
of
ship
geomet-
all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, that's sort of where I get the Geometry Wars association, because, I mean, Geo Wars is not a game you can sort of zone out while playing. You
No.
need to just be completely... Like, I usually would play pacifism mode playing Geo Wars, and I'm like, yeah, I need to be focused and ignore everything else going on around me if I'm going to do well at this. Which I like about it. I think the Switch sort of needs a game like that right now, and...
See, I want to agree, but pretty much every game on the Switch right now has some level of difficulty that I'm starting to get annoyed with. All of these games that I'm getting, like Snake Pass, simple mechanics, but they just don't always work the way that you want them to. Fast
See, I
RMX
think
just goes
you-
way too fast.
I think with you and I, like, I was playing Snake Pass. I'm playing it very casually, and like, I do get, you know, the frustration of trying to get a coin that's far out. But I was
It's
just
not
sort of
even
more
that.
just
Sometimes
having
just
fun with the
climbing
controls.
things. When you hold the right trigger down, the snake just moves too fast for you to do a proper coil sometimes. Ugh. Shovel Knight is also just, it's designed to be a hard game.
Especially the Spectre of Torment, because I've heard that's like ramped it up.
Yeah. Point being, I have all these games on the Switch that need full concentration. I just want a game to chill with, and I was hoping this was going to be a chill game, and it's not.
Yeah, I'll admit that what I did see of it kind of looked like it might be a bit of a somewhat of a chill out game, but it sounds like that was way off.
Sadly,
Don't don't get Mr. Shifty, and then don't get Metal Slug. Because, oh boy.
Metal Slug is a game that I actually can kind of turn my brain off and play. It's weird.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know what the difference between that and Graceful Explosion Machine is, but
I think
I don't know. That's a completely tangential rant.
I think looking at the visuals was the main thing that made me think that the game might be a bit more of a chill out, relaxy sort of game.
Yeah.
Like it just
Speaking
looks
of the
sort
visuals,
how would you describe the color palette? Sort of pastel-ish.
Yeah. And it's really good. Yeah, it's a strong purple theme. The color palette and the shapes and everything are superb. Sometimes there's just too many moving things on screen and I lose track of where my ship is and I just run into an enemy.
I
think
that's
part
up to
of
needing like 100% concentration by the sounds of things.
Yeah, exactly. I don't hate the game. It's just, it was a different game than what I was expecting, which is, it's fine. It was just, ugh. Anyway.
Did you notice the HD rumble at all in it? Because they were talking about how good that is for the Switch.
I'm not sure. I think so. I might have just been shaking the thing really hard.
It's like, is it HD rumble or am I just very nervous?
The soundtrack is really good though. It's sort of like a good synthy sort of. Like that's the thing. The soundtrack is very synthy, relaxing, chill out. Whereas the action sort of like, no, don't relax, you'll die.
Yeah, I mean, I make it sound like I hate the game. I actually really, really like it. I just
wanted
annoyed that
vibe.
It wasn't what I wanted. It's not a fault of the game. It's just the Switch at the moment is just full of all of these really difficult games, and this is another one. So if you like a challenge, here you go.
Speaking of a challenge, we should probably move on to what has been described by IGN as the Dark Souls of Wonderboy games. Wonderboy 3, The Dragon's Trap.
Really?
Oh, that was in part of their review. They talked about the combat and said that because you have to wait until you can attack things and you don't have much health, it was a little bit Dark Soulsy. Man, that's very weird. But yeah, that's my segue.
No, it's just that's what it's always been. But it is the Metroidvania of Wonderboy games.
Well, I mean, it is kind of like an 8-bit Well, it was like an 8-bit Metroidvania.
It is.
Basically.
I mean, this is probably for... So, my history is as growing up playing video games, I was always sort of Nintendo diehard, Game Boy, then Super Nintendo and all that. But I had so many friends who had Master Systems, and I played a hell of a lot of Wonderboy and the Dragon's Trap. Never finished it, but I'd always play like the first few areas in it. So it's a game I've sort of always been really fond of. Never finished it, but I've always really, really liked it. And
I'm very similar in that regard. It was a game. I had one friend. I had lots of friends with Master Systems, but one friend had Wonderboy 3: The Dragon's Trap, and we would just always we'd play it and sort of get as far as we could, and for some reason we always lost the password, so never got any further than, I think the last thing I remember doing is transforming into a mouse, and I don't think I ever got to the next sort of boss transformation thing.
You mean in the game?
That's really early on. That's sort of like the first transformation.
But yeah, I guess to give people a bit of an idea of what it is, it's Wonderboy 3: The Dragon's Trap was originally on the Master System, and it's been updated, reimagined, remade for everything, but including the Switch. It was sort of
so it's part of the Wonderboy series. Now it's it's called Wonderboy 3: The Dragon's Trap, but it's not actually the third Wonderboy game. And let's not do this.
Yeah, go and listen to the Wonderboy episode of Retronauts. They try and explain it. It's very difficult. But yeah, I remember the thing that really grabbed me when I was super young was that you would, beat bosses and you would be transformed into a different creature and it would change the way you play the game. And I just thought that was incredible at the time, and it's still kind of cool.
It's very Super Metroid-y in that, the beginning of the game. The beginning of the game is meant to be the end of the last game. You're going into the castle to beat the Mecha Dragon or whatever. And when you beat him, because you beat the final boss of the last game, he then curses you into a dragon, and then you're like, oh, well, I have to go change back to being a human. So you go beat this dragon, who then he turns you into a mouse, and then the next one turns you into like a lizard man, and so on and so on. And it's all about, you know, as you like as a dragon, you can breathe fire, but that's sort of about it. And then as you change forms,
like as a mouse, you could climb the different blocks, like the checkerboard blocks, I think.
Yep.
And just sort of on the intro, it never occurred to me. Sorry to interrupt, but it never occurred to me that that's very much like Symphony of the Night. I thought that was a new, unique thing, but I guess Wonderboy did it like decades before.
And it's, you know, it's like legitimately one of the first like Metroidvanias when you think about it. It's like, I can't really think of, other than Metroid, what else would have come out before this.
I guess it is Metroid-ish, not in that you get new like abilities and keep everything that you had, but you change your form entirely, and so therefore you can, you know, those weird checkerboard blocks that you saw earlier on, now you can climb over them, and there's a whole new section there.
And like the part I'm just up to now, I've just become the fish man, so he can you know, swim easier. But then I've just found a spot where you can actually change back into the mouse, so there'll be certain puzzles in the game that will require you to switch between forms to sort of progress, which is cool, because I mean, you know, this is the furthest I've gotten in it, so like I've beaten two of the dragons so far. And yeah, like, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's just...
Yeah, like, you should probably talk about, like, myself, I only have experience with the original version. How are you finding the new remakiness? Like, it looks like the visuals and music are just incredibly done from what I've seen.
Okay, so like, I'm just, you know, I'm on Twitter all day today just gushing about the visuals, because it looks so good. Like, I haven't seen a 2D sort of platformer game animate this well since, like, Wario Land and Shake Dimension on the Wii. It's just got so much little just gorgeous attention to details. Like, you know, something I like is you'll be walking forward and then you just quickly turn back to go in the other direction, and the character will, you know, instead of just like changing direction, they'll actually sort of animate the character putting weight forward on their foot and turning around to face back. It looks like a, you know, I hate to use a cliche, it looks like a cartoon. It just, everything animates so beautifully. And then what's even more mind-blowing is you can press one of the buttons to just instantly change back to the original visuals. So it's not like they've changed the gameplay at all, they've just like animated over the top of the existing gameplay.
And I think, I don't know if we mentioned it last time, but you can use the passwords from the original game in this. Like, yes! That's how faithful it is to the original game.
It's so amazing. It's got all this, you know, it literally is, it's seriously, it's just a port of the original game, but then they've put nice graphics over the top. And nice soundtrack. And then, you know, you can also, if you want to have the old soundtrack with the new visuals, you can, or even just change the sound effects to be the old one. And then it's also got, like, filter mode, so you can have scan lines, or have it so it looks like the colours are from an old CRT TV.
That's cool.
It's all this little attention to detail.
One feature that I'm really keen to use when I do eventually get around to playing it, from what I understand, you can play the entire game as Wonder Girl as well as Wonder Boy, like a new character that's just Wonder Girl, and I mean that would be really cool.
That's who I chose, because I thought, oh, that's neat, I'm going to go that. I haven't, I mean, I'll be honest, I only really noticed a difference in the opening castle when you actually are sort of like a human.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, is there any, I guess, can you really tell a female and a male dragon person apart? Maybe not.
Not that I could see. It looked pretty much the same, which was a bit disappointing, but I thought, oh, well, you know, outside of making her a different colour. But, I mean, you know, it's, for anyone who's played the original, it plays exactly like it. You know, it is hard, but I think I've probably put about an hour and a half into it, and only now I'm starting to have a bit of like trouble difficulty-wise. I'm got to go through this volcano area, which are, as volcano areas are, pretty hard. But I mean, you know, it's classic old school logic. Just, you know, if you see an enemy, just, you know, observe the patterns, and you'll be able to beat it quite easily. But I'm just, you know, I'm loving it. It's just so good. It's cool. And I don't know how much of that's just the fanboyness of liking the old game, but I mean, I want these guys to just like remake every old 8-bit game now, because they sort of, you know, it's not like the Shovel Knight or Blaster Master of making modern looking 8-bit games, but it's like making 8-bit games more palatable for the current audience, I think.
Yeah, it's, you know, obviously, you know, there will be a lot of people that look at 8-bit stuff and it's just, they don't have the same nostalgia we do. It's like, that's what indie games look like.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, and this, you know, this is sort of what an indie game looks like, but it's just so much work's gone into it.
I think, honestly, like, gorgeous. The new visuals, I think it says a lot that the new visuals are so nice that I would prefer them to the original. Like, I don't think I would play in the original mode out of choice. It's just, it looks so nice. It's kind of hard
to play the original, and, you know, it's, again, like, you just press the button and it changes it, and it's sort of interesting to see how they've, you know, one area would have just been trees and, you know, the normal foreground stuff, but then you change to the new visuals and it's like this sort of ominous looking forest in the background with all these little bits of attention to detail stuff to just make it look like a really modern game. I mean, if not for, you know, I imagine someone could say, oh, this is an all new game, this wasn't an old game, and people would be none the wiser. Cool. I'm really interested to see how the Monster Boy game goes in a few months when that comes out.
Yeah,
because that's sort of aping a lot of this. But yeah, you know, if I reviewed it, I'd probably give this like a 5 out of 5 or something. So I probably won't review it because I'm biased and all that. But I really like this. Troy, you should play it.
I want to.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, well, those are the games we've been playing. I think I'll just jump right into finishing off this podcast because who needs a break? We could just power through. So yeah, as usual, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been going up on the site. Lots more reviews since we last talked. Let's see. I don't think Skylanders Imaginators was up last time we talked, so that's there. Snake Pass review is up. Lego City Undercover review went up just recently. And that's the reviews. And yeah, aside from that, the regular eShop updates, bargain guides. Anything new Discord-wise, Troy?
We're in the middle of a Mario Kart tournament, so join the Discord if you want to be a part of that. Nothing else, really.
Cool. Discord's just Discording on as Discord does.
Yeah.
Cool. And yes, I guess that's pretty well it for the episode. So if you are interested in anything else that the three of us do, you'll find me on Twitter at Stephen Impson. If you want to find out more Troy things, he will be at Stew Review, and Daniel will be at Worth Nintendo, all on Twitter and probably similar on all the other social media doodads. Yeah, follow us, ask us questions, say hello if you feel like doing that. But yeah, unless there's anything I've forgotten. Nope, cool. So yeah, until next time, be cool to each other, and I hope you have a good time. Goodbye.
Peace out.
Goodbye.